K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Game on, where progressives fear us and rhinos tremble. Welcome to the political jungle. I'm JD.
This is Stacey. No one is safe. No one is spared.
Lock up the children.
And the old folk.
Welcome to the world of liberservative conservatarians.
That's right, everybody. Welcome to all my favorite political freaks, geeks, and back alley sneaks. Little technical difficulties here in K98 Talk. You want to know why? Because we got paid advertising for the first time. Thank you, listeners. So, what better way to start off the station's first day of paid advertising but having some computer and server issues? It is Tuesday night, July 9th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means it's time for JD and Stacey here in Game On that K98 Talk, baby. So much going on in the world that Stacey and I had to take an extra 8 minutes to talk about it before we came on the air. It was tough to pick. However, we narrowed it down. We have a very, very special guest this evening in the first segment. We have Mr. Steve Lumberg. He is a Civil War reenactor and a living historian. Do not ask me what the hell a dead one is, but he is a living historian. And he's here to lend some context to recent revisionist history. Then we got the King Jong-il Hillary Clinton interview and CNN's special little moronic ass hat. Ooh, he's going to be in the third segment. We want to thank all the K98 Talk, JD and Stacey fans, listeners, for allowing us to have some nice advertising here at the station. It's going to put Stacey and I in our Ferraris, or at least back on our bicycles. We want to thank Radio Red Nation Rising with good. Jared and Lou as our lead-in here every Thursday nights. And as always, you can catch Stacey and I Tuesday night, 10 p.m. live Eastern Standard Time for that Game On, baby. Thursday nights again, like we are here, 9 p.m. And Sunday morning, we slow it down a little bit for that 11 a.m. Bloody Marys and broadsheets, baby. You're a cure for that mainstream media hangover. And Stacey, when they go to Spreaker, they go to hashtag K98 Talk, what do they look for?
Judy and Stacey.
Oh, my
can't
God,
do
you
it.
finally got it.
I just feel like a jerk. Okay.
You feel like a jerk. You do 3 hours of radio with me a week, and that makes you feel like a jerk?
Yeah, I feel like a cartoon character or something.
Speaking of cartoon characters, Stacey and I have had 2 shows with a lot of a good listener described it to us as a cage match. So, just for all the fans of the show, just so you know, we are back and
we're still speaking.
We like the party.
And
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.
welcome
No.
to Tuesday Night Kids. I knew.
And the first person that says peanut butter in chat is getting kicked out.
The first person that says peanut butter and a cat's getting a prize.
Oh, my God.
Oh, good Lord.
Right.
Okay.
I think it's almost time to bring Steve into the mix, though he may
Is
be
it 10
scared
o'clock
now.
at night, folks? We'll see you Sunday morning. Stacey, would you please introduce Mr. Lundberg, as you know him a bit better than I do, to the audience?
Sure. I am pleased to introduce Steve Lundberg, who is a good friend and former coworker of mine. And one of the things I know about Steve is he has been part of the Civil War reenactment community for a number of years, including, Steve, if I recollect correctly, you were at the anniversaries for Gettysburg and a few other of the big battles.
That would be correct, Stacey, yes.
Okay. And what we invited Steve to talk about tonight, because he doesn't just do Civil War reenactment. A big part of that movement is also living history, so teaching people about the time period. And one of the questions I had for Steve when we were talking last week was how this controversy that's playing out in South Carolina with the Confederate flag and is moving to some of our national monuments is going to possibly affect that movement. Steve, could you kind of maybe give us an overview of what some of the concerns you told me about were?
Well, before you start, Steve, with the way that you set that up, Stacey, I thought you were going to say he's not actually a Civil War soldier, but he did stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night.
That's right,
Nice.
and I feel better, actually, than a Civil War soldier. In answer to your question, Stacey, I think that given the current falderah, we're probably going to be experiencing maybe a downturn in some of the events that we would normally see. Now, some of the traditional events, Gettysburg, Vicksburg, some of the major battles and so forth that have annual events will still go on. But as it relates to smaller communities, places that want to put on living histories and other events, may not want to necessarily take on the political correct community, as it were, and being able to defend having an event in their area. And obviously that has a lot of repercussions.
I mean, talk to me a little bit about what is not politically correct about history. I mean, you being so involved in it, and I believe your spouse is also involved.
Correct.
You know, when you do these events, what would be typically going on in addition to reenacting the battle?
In addition to the battle, there's an opportunity for folks who attend the events to actually interact with people that are portraying civilians that are also would be the home crafters. That would be the civilian community as far as women and what they would be doing in the homesteads. Also, people that would be journalists or covering the war, photographers. There are folks that are doing ambrotypes and daguerreotypes during that time period. So there's a lot more than just the bang bang shoot 'em up aspect of the living history. In addition, it gives people an opportunity to just kind of connect with what lifestyles were like. It wasn't just about the war itself, but what lifestyles were like. So it's more of a holistic approach to the 1860s and not just what the battles were about.
And we're lucky enough to be speaking here with Mr. Steve Lundberg. He is a Civil War reenactor and living historian. And Steve, I'd like you to, with everything that's been in the press and the media lately, specifically tied to the Confederate flag, and Stacey and I had done a show a few weeks back when the big brouhaha had started, and basically went into, and you would know probably a lot better than we, that it was actually a battle flag of the I think the Army of Northern Virginia, an element of it, I think, appeared up in the corner of what was basically the second flag of the Confederacy, how it actually never really, even though it was a favored battle flag, as I understood it, it never really represented the Confederacy. And then after you touch on a little bit of that, I would like you to explain from your point of view what you think some of the perils and the pitfalls are of movement to erase history. I mean, you folks and what you do in your community are nice enough to take history to the person that is too busy or lazy to crack open a book. You say to them, listen, you don't even have to read it. Come here and we will show you what happened. If you could also touch on the danger of losing that.
Certainly, and JD, you really hit on something that's important for folks to understand as it relates to the flag and the symbol itself. As far as the flag is concerned, and you hit it directly on the head, the flag that folks really associate with the Confederacy was a battle flag and a battle flag only. It was adopted by the Army of Northern Virginia. It also was adopted by the Army of Tennessee, which was just one part of the Confederate Army. But as far as the First Nationals, which is really the true Stars and Bars, not what you see on the General Lee car that Bubba Watson drives or anything else, the Stars and Bars was a flag that actually was taken down because it bore too much of a resemblance. Didn't know how to rally around it. From a distance, it looked enough alike to the U.S. flag that the soldiers didn't know which side to go to.
Was that General Beauregard who had said that? There was so much confusion that I forget what the battle was. That's how this all sprung out. It was his adjutant, I think, that was tasked with coming up with the flag.
Exactly, that's correct. And what became the St. Andrew's Cross was what we see as the battle flag itself. But the battle flag was strictly that, a battle flag. It was not the flag of the Confederacy, which a lot of folks think that it was.
Well,
now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and Dixie existed long before the Civil War. So,
and if you could also, Steve, touch on in your mind as a living historian, and excuse a Yankee for asking these questions. I know that all our Southern listeners, because who did we lose? We lost Iowa, and who else did they tell to go to hell last week? New Jersey.
Yeah, I think New Jersey. People from those states don't listen to us anymore.
Well, for the 55 Obama states that are left listening to us, Steve. If you could also segue a bit into what it means to, if it was like you were saying in that first question segment, if you didn't have these reenactments, you don't have this living history.
Well, without that opportunity, we miss an opportunity for education, and that's really the key point. Be able to connect with today's population, and that's really generations of all ages, to be honest with you, but specifically the younger generations, to help them understand our history with all its bumps, with all its warts, and help them know what the crucible was that this country was born from. That's from the American Revolution going forward, but specifically the Civil War. You can say that the Civil War was fought for any particular reason, but there were as many reasons to fight the Civil War as there were people who fought the Civil War. If we lose that opportunity to connect with the public and have those dialogues and help understand what some of the different perspectives were, then we lose, to some degree, our heritage in totality. We really need to be able to connect with folks, and not having the opportunity to do so is going to impact us, and it's a slippery slope. And we talk about the flag, going back to that for just a minute, in terms of the flag being a symbol of the battle flag, the Confederate battle flag being a symbol of Southern pride and heritage. And it's about heritage, not hate, which is something we hear a whole heck of a lot about. In a way, I'm fine with that. But can the Confederate battle flag be a symbol of only the good stuff as it relates to Southern heritage and not the bad? Some may say that they're not mutually exclusive. But I'll pose this question, too. Haven't we accept that premise as it relates to the United States flag?
Well, now there's a movement to actually change that.
I'm not surprised. I mean, we've already started that. When you look at the kids in certain states, let's look to the left coast. where, on the 4th of July or whatever, they wanted to wear T-shirts with the American flag, and they were told to either turn them inside out or take them off. Yet then there would be other cultures who would be allowed to celebrate their national holidays and wear their flags, and it's a way that we include them. So, there's a paradox there, of course.
I like I like Steve Lundberg. I really I do. You want to know what? I'm digging this. First of all, I want to know, lady. First of all, I want to know from you why you held out on such a good guest for so long. But we'll do that off air. We'll do that. We'll
and then Steve is so cool. You want to know how in God's name he worked for me for a year and a half.
Oh, let me tell you something. I'd like to know how the hell.
I made her quit, Katie.
I don't know how the hell anybody worked for you for a minute and a half.
Oh.
Good God and baby Jesus. Love you, baby.
Right.
Oh my God. So let me ask Steve. Do you find and it's a political show, so let me switch gears over into the political realm a little bit. Do you find with such a move, at least at the federal level, and at least in a lot of the public schools, to remove so much of history as the way that Stacey learned it, and I learned it, and you learned it, and that for the most part, generations of people before you learned it, whether you want to call it American history or whether you want to call it Western civilization. I mean, to me, history is like math. The numbers are the numbers. What happened, happened.
Right.
Do you see a greater attendance because people feel starved for this or want their children to see it in the last few years? Do you see a dwindling attendance where because of the lack of this presentation to the general public, they may not even know that they should have an interest in it? What is your anecdotal on the ground sense of the movement and how it's either growing or getting its message out?
Excellent question, and I think that leading up to the sesquicentennials, and certainly after the Ken Burns series and so forth, there was a huge swell of interest. Leading up to the 150s, then reenactors, living historians, and the public alike were I think, hypersensitized to our history and that particular point in time in our history. And they came out in droves. And I mean droves, I couldn't even begin to tell you. I've done Gettysburg, I've done the Battle of Atlanta, I've done a lot of other large events, as has my wife, who's also a living historian. And we're talking tens of thousands of folks to some of the bigger events, right down to maybe even a couple of hundred or even fewer at some of the smaller events. However, now that the 150s are over, and particularly given the political correctness and some of the flat that's going on now, we're seeing a little bit of a decline. We are seeing a resurgence, however, and I'm happy to say this, of some of the smaller communities wanting to pick up where the larger events left off because they were overshadowed by those events during the 150th celebrations. Living here in East Tennessee as I do, there's a great history here, and we're seeing a great resurgence of folks who are interested in putting on events in this particular part of the country. However, the total impact is that we are not seeing as many folks right now as we would like to. And that's a challenge that we continue to face and we'll address by marketing, by advertising, by getting our message out, by doing things like we're doing tonight and talking on your show. And making sure that people know that there is an opportunity for folks to get out and understand and talk to people who know a little bit more about what had happened in the 1860s than maybe your average bear, and certainly more than what some of our folks are being taught in schools these days.
Well, and you mentioned what is perhaps the best media I have ever seen on the Civil War, and that was the Ken Burns series. If you have not seen that, folks, you need to go out and find it. It's absolutely phenomenal.
And just as a commentary, after Stacey and I ended our death matches of the last week and a half, one of the themes we always hit here, kids, one of the themes that we always hit here, take your jerseys off. It doesn't matter. Forget about the things that Ken Burns has said politically. The guy is an absolute phenomenal filmmaker. A lot of his documentary series really do not have thumbs on the scale, and if you're seeing some stuff there, you're looking for it. Do not let the fact that he is way out there to the left dissuade you from looking at his work. It really is. I agree with Stacey 110%. Steve, are there any other series or volume of books or anything online that Stacey and I wouldn't be thinking of that people in your community read and go, oh, my God, I cannot believe Bob and everybody else doesn't know about this?
Gosh, there's such a wealth of stuff out there. There are some readings that I would certainly advocate. Series, there are a bunch of them out there in terms of videos, and certainly Ken Burns is probably the primer for everybody. But in terms of books, just a couple of things that I'll throw out there. There's one that a guy actually gets into Civil War reenacting. It's called Confederates in the Attic. And it's rather anecdotal. It's very lighthearted. There's some comedy to it where this guy actually gets into the hobby of reenacting and being a living historian. The author is David Horvitz. I would certainly advocate for that. Killer Angels, which also was the novel based on history that prompted the movie Gettysburg and Gods and Angels, certainly is a good one. I also advocate Company H, and that's spelled Aytch, which is the story of a Confederate soldier by the name of Sam Watkins who fought at the Battle of Franklin. Look it up. It's real easy stuff to find, and will give you a different perspective. I think that the best way to learn about the history of that time is to hear it through the voices of those who were there and experienced it. So look at the stuff that's autobiographical and gives a true sense and real flavor of what it was like to be in that crucible.
Well, Steve, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on this evening. And second of all, I want to encourage everyone in the audience, look around your local communities, especially if you live along the eastern seaboard. If you see one of these living history events advertised, go see it. If you think about the things up in Massachusetts, the Pilgrim colonies up there, where people are showing you how things were done and how people lived at that point in time and what kind of foods they ate, etc. These enactment events are not that different. And, I'm actually going to be looking for them to take my kids to at this point because, as I sit here and listen to my kids telling me, even in high school, what their history is contained with, I'm a little bit disturbed because I don't find it to be complete.
Stacey and I have had the absolute pleasure and privilege of speaking with Steve Lundberg, living not dead historian, Civil War, good God, it's been a long week, Civil War reenactor. Steve, not only do I want to thank you for being here, I want to ask, do you have anything that you're promoting? Is there a website that you got going on? Are there any events coming up reenactment-wise that you can tell the audience about before we leave for the segment?
Wealth of stuff coming up. I'll say a couple of things quickly just for everybody out there. Talk to your grandparents. Talk to the real living historians that are still with you. Also, we represent in my particular company the 8th Tennessee Volunteer Infantry out of East Tennessee. You can look us up on 8th Tennessee Volunteer Infantry on the net. It'll give you a history about what it was like to be a Union loyalist, Southern-born, but loyal to the Union. In this part of the country. And I'll just say this in closing, just to editorialize for a moment. We're focused with this flag stuff like we're doing something for the sake of doing something, but we're only focusing on symbols, inanimate objects that don't push back, and that's easy stuff. We should be focusing on the values and beliefs of shaping more educated citizenry, and being accountable for ourselves and our actions, taking initiative, working hard to achieve, and be glad for the opportunity that we have to work hard, and not being a population of victims and receivers of endless entitlements. But that's the hard stuff. I'm not sure many have the stomach, much less the stamina to stay the course, but that challenge is out there. Learn our history and take a lesson from those who went before us. That's all I have to say.
Steve Lundberg, not only can we thank you enough, we're going to get you that YouTube channel, baby, because this is a man who needs his own Discovery Show channel. Stacey, get those headphones off because this is going to be loud right before we go to break. All you politically correct, hoople-headed, jerk-off asshats out there, this is from me, Stacey, and Steve. We'll see you in 2.5 minutes with the Hillary hostage interview.
You'll be able to keep your health care plan.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
Welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
Welcome back here to K98 Talk with JD and Stacey on Game On Thursday nights. We want to thank our guest in the first segment, Mr. Steve Lumberg, Civil War reenactor, living historian, gentleman, man about town, and somebody I would definitely want to have back on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, political freaks, geeks, and back alley sneaks, we want to thank everybody for listening. And, of course, whatever you're doing right now, open another tab. Get over to K98Talk.com. Get in the chat room. Say hello to Stacey. All the good listeners who were nice enough to hang on during our technical difficulties in the beginning of the segment. And as always, you can find Stacey and I here Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. for Bloody Marys and Broadsheets, baby. Your cure for that mainstream media hangover. And Tuesday nights again, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on that Game On. And we want to thank Mr. Ricky Ticky Tavi Rick Robinson, baby, the K98 Talk family and the station, which finally has the opportunity and has got some paid revenue and ads coming in. So now you got to listen all the way out to the end of our outro. You're going to laugh your ass off. JD's got a twist for the last commercial of the night coming at the end of that. But, Stacey, I want to thank you for putting us in touch with Steve Lumberg. That guy was great. Hello? Miss Lennox?
Yeah, I'm out of practice.
Oh, wow. We were on mute again, huh?
Sorry. Yeah, well, you know.
Welcome back.
Anyway, I was going to say Steve is a super knowledgeable guy, and as soon as we
back.
started seeing all this stuff going on, I was really wondering how that was going to affect something that he was very passionate about. So I was glad to have him on tonight, and so happy that as of 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, all racism in the U.S. will be over.
He's going to hate us because now we're just going to call him for everything. He's got the best hypnotic radio voice. Like, he was talking, and I was like, I was waiting for him to give out the phone number. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're selling, but I'll buy it. It's 1-888. Come on, man, give me the number. I want to buy it. I'm an American. Damn it.
Anyway.
Did all the nice people
who do we get to talk about now?
Oh, we got plenty of time for cankles and a weird little concubinic feet. Where the people in... Concubinic, is that a word?
Why did you have to bring up that picture?
Oh, because you want to know something, damn it. Why? Why? Because what the hell were we talking about last night into the wee hours of the morning? Oh, my God, that a picture. Hey, Stacey, what's with the Hillary feet thing? I don't know, JD. I was looking at this. Oh, my God, is that really her feet? There are hoo-has flying around Twitter I'd rather see than those little kind of wrinkled up, crusty little taloned. She's like a horse. You know why? You know why a head bobbles? Wait, first of all, we're going to go into this hostage-taking Kim Jong-il type third world tin pot dictatorship interview she did with CNN. Your place for nothing, and we'll get to you later, Dino Bedelia, you unfunny jackass. But I realized why her head. Bobbles like she's sitting on a vibrating pogo stick.
Why?
Because she's a bird woman. And those little talented, crusted up little concubinic feet, she doesn't sit. She kind of like clutches onto things. So I bet you when she's on a chair, she takes those little crusty talons and like wraps them around the thing. So she's always like kind of like a bird on a branch. The wind comes in her hair. It's like, emails. That's just one man's opinion.
Well, in case you missed the Hillary interview, because you know that JD and I will always watch the most painful of events so that you don't have to.
I'd rather watch a Ron.
We both actually viewed all 19 minutes of it.
I would honestly rather watch a Ron Jeremy porno because 19 minutes of a Hillary is just, it's followed by clean up in aisle 3, Irv. Get my brains off the wall. Good God, how is this woman leading that pack?
Well, I mean, if you just... First of all, why did she have to do this interview, JD? She had to do this interview because of that ridiculous thing that happened on the 4th of July where they actually lassoed the press. Actually rope around their waist to keep them an appropriate distance from the Empress of Chappaqua.
Oh, my God. She basically got a hold of
pictures of that thing?
Oh, did I? Basically, that rope was this statement by the Emperor and Empress of Chappaqua to the press.
You can act like a man. What's the matter with you?
Are you kidding me? Okay. Look, I can be a brusque New York jerk off. I can, okay? It's in the water here. But you know me personally. I don't have any issues with that. You try roping me off. I don't care whether you're Hill Clinton, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Orgy Island morons. I cannot believe... This is the same press that is living off of taking down the Nixon White House. This is why we're supposed to believe that we have a strong fourth estate, because they spoke truth to power back in the early 70s. I have never we have interviewed some really good journalists. We've interviewed Ron Fournier. We've interviewed Selena Zito. I mean, we're going to forget some, but I mean, think about. But let's go back to Judith Miller. Judith Miller.
The best.
This woman went to jail because she wouldn't give up a source. And we'll get to this hostage video in a second, but I can't stand Hillary. You have Judith Miller. Okay.
Really, JD?
What do you think would have happened if Judith Miller was one of the reporters they tried to rope off?
Or Cheryl Atkinson.
Oh, man.
There's a couple of them out of there that just would have ducked the rope, I'm sure.
Cheryl Atkinson looking good in that blue dress, baby. Got that right on.
Yeah,
Ooh.
but I mean, honestly, I think any true journalist in my mind would have either said, forget this and walked under the rope, or they would have left. Who's going to put up with that?
True journalist is like free meal. I mean, seriously? What was the last true journalist you saw? Edward R. Murrow?
Judith Miller.
Judith. You suck. You throw my own nonsense back at me. I'm like, well, maybe I can get away with it because I just said Judith Miller. No, listen, everybody listen to what JD said. Okay. So, now, what was the name of the CNN anchor she did this propaganda video with?
Brianna. She was so not even memorable in the whole process.
Okay, she is one more good-looking female at CNN that will not bang Dino Bedelia, but we'll get to him in the third segment.
Oh, my God.
He's the jackass skull.
I know.
But we do so much prep for the show. There was a lot of audio. There's no excuse, but it's lost in the notes somewhere. The woman, the
Brianna Kehlar.
Thank you. Has some affiliation with the Clintons. I don't think she ever worked for a campaign, but she might have worked for the foundation.
She went to a top Clinton aide's wedding about 2 weeks ago.
There you go. And did she have sex?
So she's friends. Yeah, she's friends with the machine, if you will.
Oh, was the machine the guy that walked up to her and asked?
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.
Because if he didn't, it really wasn't a good wedding. But anyway. So
there you go.
This unbiased source gives Hillary the first interview that she's given since she announced, which was what, April 13th, April 19th, something like that?
Yeah, 90 days this Sunday.
Right. Now, Stacey and I had to sit down and listen to the whole interview for you because we love you people. But before I did that, there was a couple of rooms away from my home office. There was news on in the background. And I don't know who was playing it. They played a cut of this interview, and I came out running like a screaming idiot to myself going, liar, liar, what a lie. I mean, lie after lie after. Even for the Clinton, I mean, Bill Clinton had to watch this interview and go, God damn. I didn't know you could lie like that. God, I'm proud of you, baby. I am proud of you, baby. I am proud.
So proud of you, Hilly.
I mean, Jesus, God, in a rubber canoe. He never. Okay.
Well, I mean, not even just lying, but taking statements that she or her attorneys have made and pretending they never happened.
We'll get that. We have a long cut of her email, but this is, and back to Stacey's point about them roping off the press. I saw something. I didn't know this, but evidently there are pictures and video of the '92 campaign. This is ready for Hillary, right? She's the 21st century woman. So in the '92 campaign, the Clintonistas, Paul Begala, Lanny Davis, James Carville, all those skeleton closeted jerk-offs would do it. And Stephanopoulos, they did the same thing, roping off the press in '92. So here she is 23 years later doing the same thing. And I'm like, these people really play out of the same playbook. Well, we all remember the vast right-wing conspiracy, right? Monica never had Bill's Winky in her mouth off the Oval Office. No. Hillary went on for a year that never happened. Bill goes to church. That was
a right-wing conspiracy.
Oh, thank you very much, okay? She's still singing out of the same hymnal. This is about, I want to say this is about not even 5 minutes into the interview, and she starts with this nonsense.
I'm wondering if you can address a vulnerability that we've seen you dealing with recently. We see in our recent poll that nearly 6 in 10 Americans say they don't believe that you're honest and trustworthy. Do you understand why they feel that way?
Well, I think when you are subjected to the kind of constant barrage of attacks that are largely fomented by and coming from the right.
But do you bear any responsibility?
Yeah, like she foams at the mouth.
I can only tell you that I was elected twice in New York against the same kind of onslaught. I was
like being the tallest
confirmed
midget.
And served as Secretary of State. And I think it's understandable that when questions are raised, people maybe are thinking about them and wondering about them. But I have every confidence that during the course of this campaign, people are going to know who will fight for them, who will be there when they need them, and that's the kind of person I am, and that's what I will do. Not
who will
only
kill them
in a
like
campaign,
Vince Foster and leave
president.
them in a park?
Trusting someone to fight for them and trusting someone, these are two different things. Do you see any role that you've had in this sentiment that we've seen where people are questioning whether you're trustworthy?
I can only tell you, Brianna, that this has been a theme that has been used against me and my husband for many, many years.
Never mind the 60%
At the end of the day, I think voters sort it all out. I have great confidence. I trust the American voter. So I trust the American voter.
And the illegal ones, too.
Because I think, the American voter will weigh these kinds of accusations. I mean, people write books filled with unsubstantiated attacks against us and even admit they have no evidence. But, of course, it's your job to cover it. So, of course, that's going to raise questions in people's minds.
Sue her.
But during the course of this campaign, just as in my 2 prior campaigns and in my other years of service, I have a lot of confidence that the American people can sort it all out.
Would you vote for someone that you don't trust?
Well, people should and do trust me, and I have every confidence that that will be the outcome of this election.
This woman is so cold. I bet you her.
She just said you're all wrong.
Let me tell you something.
People do like and trust me. Really?
This woman is so cold. I bet you her hoo-ha is like a snow cone maker.
Well, I mean, even Breonna Keeler came out after the interview and said, wow, she didn't unthaw at all. And wherever they hid that personable person they keep telling me about, I wish she'd come out. I mean, completely pander after the interview.
The personable person is the hand that shoved up her ass that makes her. I don't. What's with the bobble and 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 the bobble? I mean, look, I got to tell you something. If a Republican candidate shook and bob. She shakes and bobbles like Hitler at the Munich games in '38 with Jesse. It is. If a Republican was bobbling and shaking like this, there would be front page stories about, does he have Parkinson's? Is this the next Michael J. Fox presidency? I mean, come on with this. And the lie after lie after lie after lie. And
oh, my God.
God damn, that is some good lying.
We can't play the 4-minute segment. But
I
mean,
think we have
her
to.
comments, no, we can't. Nobody wants to hear her for 4 minutes. Good God.
This is the problem.
Of it all,
Damn it.
The upshot of it all, there were 7 lies in that just by itself. First of all, she had 2 devices. Second of all, all of her emails didn't go to state because Huma Abedin had a personal email at Clinton.com too.
Stacey.
So she's
Stacey.
Yes.
If we don't hear, you know how we ended up.
I'm getting no 4 minutes in the chat room.
I don't. What the hell is this? What is this? Choose your own adventure radio.
Thank you, people. Thank you.
Hey, listen. Everybody in there who's contributing to the suggestion box, get your own show. Okay? Christ on the cross. Do you want to take suggestions now? All right, I'll tell you for the next 20 minutes we're going to play Gershwin show tunes. Go. Oklahoma weather planes.
That would be preferable to Hillary Clinton's yammering about her email.
All right, but we're going to have to. All right, we'll have to do some of this. This is how this woman is selling the email scandal. Maybe we'll jump to the end because the stuff about Colin Powell is ridiculous.
I think there's a lot of people who don't understand what your thought process was on that. So can you tell me the story of
my thought process was, Lord, don't get caught.
To delete 33,000 emails and how that deletion was executed?
Well, let's start from the beginning. Everything I did was permitted. There was no law. There was no regulation.
Everybody go home.
There was nothing that did not give me the full authority to decide how I was going to communicate. Previous secretaries of state have said they did the same thing. And people across the government knew that I used one device. Maybe it was because I am not the most capable person and wanted to make it as easy as possible.
But you said they did the same thing, that they used a personal server and while facing a subpoena, deleted emails from them?
You know, you're starting with so many assumptions that I've never had a subpoena. There is
a legitimate
let's
question.
Take a deep breath
Stop,
here.
Brianna.
Everything I did was permitted by law and regulation.
I
had one device. When I mailed anybody in the government, it would go into the government system. Now, I didn't have to turn over anything. I chose to turn over 55,000 pages.
All right, I can't take this anymore. Homer, what do you think of that?
Boring.
Pretty much. But she goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and it's all in the same vein. To Stacey's point, she counted 7 lies in that segment, and without blinking.
Well, first of all of her emails to other State Department personnel did not go to the State Department because Huma Abedin and I think 4 other people on her staff had emails attached to this server. There's obvious gaps in her emails with Sidney Blumenthal. They said she only ever used HRD 22, and emails that are coming out from Sidney Blumenthal all have HRD 17 on them. So she was using more than one email address. Notice she's backed it off from one address and one device to one device because we know there's multiple addresses. I'm sorry, Colin Powell never had his own homebrew server. He may have used a personal email address at some points in time, but he also had an official email address. To paint herself in the same light as Colin Powell is absolutely the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard. I mean, I'm sitting there listening to this thing going, and then the statement, I was never subpoenaed. First of all, the State Department was subpoenaed for her emails starting in 2012. They were never forthcoming that they didn't have them. They just kept delaying. So by the time Congress figured out, when the New York Times broke it, that she had a personal homebrew server, she'd already deleted the emails in December of 2014 because she knew it was coming.
I honestly, in this whole, from the interview and everything else, do you know what I actually found most interesting and entertaining above and beyond anything else? Did you hear the response from the Bernie Sanders campaign regarding that interview specifically?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's awesome. Where the hell is it? Here it is.
Oh, that woman got a mouth like an outboard motor all the time. Put, 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 put,
Okay, terrific.
I'm telling you what, that campaign communication staff has got something there.
I know. Almost starting to like Bernie.
Uncle Bernie, where the socialism's free, other money, people's money, that's for me.
Oh, my God. And when you started talking about Rodgers and Hammerstein, people said, please don't let him sing. All right. You sang.
All right. Paint by Numbers Radio. You can all go to hell. Coming back in the last segment, why Dean Obadilla is a jackass.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in...
Listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works.
President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before.
Did someone say green?
Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind?
Now, do you say good things about me on the show?
No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much.
The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation.
Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo?
I got a pen. I can veto that, you know.
I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it.
Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either.
That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets. If it's Sunday, it's Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
We're your cure from your weekly news hangover.
That's right, baby. You are getting Game On right now by JD and Stacey here at K98 Talk. We want to thank everybody for joining us Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coming in behind that 2 hours of dynamic radio, that Radio Red Nation rising with that Lou and Jared, baby. Lou be that female Barry White of the radio, baby. We want everybody right now to get over to K98 Talk, get over to the chat room. As always, when the show's over, get to Spreaker.com, get yourself a binge at hashtag K98 Talk. Find JD and Stacey, JD and Stacey. Get on all that good stuff. I mean, we want to make sure, folks, now, you got to join the show a little extra early. You got to stay at the show a little extra late. Why do you have to do this? Because Ricky Ticky Tavi Rick Robinson, K98 Talk, getting that paid advertising, baby. So whatever number they're putting out there, you call it up. And I don't care if it's the peoples or the robots or whatever you tell them, baby. You just say something. Make sure you call that number or get in that chat room. Whoo! How's the chat room tonight, baby girl?
Chat room is good.
Yeah, baby, chatting and a batting. So.
Chatting and a batting.
Why don't you tell the folks how we're going to close
segment,
out?
Sure. In this third segment, there's a certain hoople-headed moron on Twitter who happens to be great friends with my least favorite commentator in the world, Sally Cohn. His name is Dean Obadiah. Calls himself the Dean of Comedy. He's about as funny as nothing I have ever seen. But he decided to pick on my good friend, Beaker O'Donovan, today. That is not to be tolerated. So, Mr. Obadiah, about 3 or 4 days ago, it was Sunday, July 5th, day after the holiday, was in another Twitter thread with me because for some reason I always find myself trying to dissuade his, just ridiculousness. And he said he has to stop chatting at this point because he had to go do a comedy routine at, what is it, JD? Dangerfield?
Dangerfields, where anybody who is from the New York metro area has been to at their junior prom. Not exactly Gotham Comedy Club or Caroline's.
Basically, he asked another journal pundit, I guess, you and I should probably duel in the arena of stand-up. So when he decided to harass my good friend Beaker O'Donovan today, I decided to put him up against a real comedian, my partner, JD.
Know what I'm saying, baby?
Who actually had a time in stand-up where he did get to perform at, Gotham City?
Listen to me. As a matter of fact, yeah. I keep my chops and my connects. I actually gave this guy a formal public. He's out there challenging people.
Formal public challenge.
They're not conservatives. Why don't you get out there and do stand-up? Hey, Obadiah, let me tell you something. The only reason that your parents don't disown you, you unfunny skellbag, is because you tell people that you work for CNN, the place for nothing. It doesn't matter that it doesn't have any ratings. This guy is such a ridiculous joke, and I hope you're listening, you skelly scumbag. And if anybody who knows this jerk-off is listening, tell him, what kind of a man works for a network like CNN, has the kind of microphone and platform he does, and drops and says, well, conservatives could never do stand-up. Well, I'll tell you something, jackass. I'll do it with you, and I'm going to tell you something else. I know how the game is played. You got a good booking agent? I'll tell you something, buddy. I will get us Friday or Saturday prime time, stage time. Equal time, fella. I'll get it booked. Don't worry about saying, well, I got to go through my agent. Your agent orange. You know what your agent does? Your agent scratches your ass, you jerk off. I don't like this guy.
And so then I decided to check if he had actually done Dangerfields on Sunday night because he was still certainly tweeting a lot after show kicked off at 8:30, and surely he did. And I talked to this lovely young man at Dangerfields who told me what a whirlwind the Dean of Comedy has become because he has done a social justice movie called The Muslims Are Coming. The Muslims Are Coming. And I don't know if you all remember the uproar a couple months ago when Pamela Geller tried to purchase some advertising on MTA buses and trains regarding her movement that is basically anti-Islam. At that point, because of that particular agenda, the MTA decided they would no longer do political ads of any kind. Well, apparently Dean, being a social justice warrior with his movie, The Muslims Are Coming, doesn't see himself as political because social justice movements, of course, are not political. I don't get that at all. But has now sued the MTA because they won't run his ads, which I find absolutely hysterical. The left is finally paying for their own rules.
It's such poetic justice. What is he on social media? What is his ad? Is it the Dean of Comedy?
The Dean of Comedy, and he has threatened to write an article with screenshots of Beaker's tweets, my tweets, JD's tweets, and some other people's tweets, which were a little borderline in my mind. But if he happens to post his articles, hey guys, go find him and comment on the article because he says we're whining because things aren't going our way. Just remember how they all whined post Citizens United and Hobby Lobby.
I will do you one better. For those of you on social media, go find him on Twitter. Go find him on Facebook. For those of you who are bored, go make yourself a real stiff drink or go roll yourself a real stiff. Open up another browser on your computer and go after this guy and tell him, hey, man, you got a standing offer for your challenge. How about some stage time? JD is right in New York. And I'm going to tell you something. I would love 5 minutes on a stage with this midget jerk-off. I really would. I really, really, really. I'll tell you what. Why don't you put this segment into an MP3 and screenshot that? Screenshots. The Snapchat of comedy, you unfunny jerk-off. You're sitting there. You're telling you talk to millions of people. You're in a social media thread, and this is your big moment. You're playing Dangerfield's your big deal, and you come back with a Fox News joke. Not a bad Fox News joke. You're a hack. Hack. H-A-K-K. Hack.
We love you, Beaker.
Yeah, baby. Don't you mess with that, O'Donovan. Oh, man. I want to thank everybody in the chat room who stuck around for our little technical difficulties in the beginning. It's always worth it. Remember, we need you staying through the outro, baby, because we're going to make some money here. This K98 Talk. We want to thank everybody in the listening audience who has made this possible. Please keep telling another friend, 2 friends, 5 friends about us so that we can be back. We're going to be back here Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Baby girl, you got them keys?
I do. Why don't we get up on out of here?
Let's get the hell out of here. Woo! Are you saving the world the next few days or just enjoying yourself?
No, actually, the female Barry White and I are working on a little project to start in August.
Oh, good Lord. Is it that job up on the pole by the place, down by the thing? Well, you know where you can find me, kids, in sordid alleyways, bar stools, and places I shouldn't be. You know who'll be there? Lou and Scott's Fire. See you Sunday.
I'm looking for you, you Occupy freaks. With
And
your
stick around for the
glitter
commercial at the
bombs.
end, kids. I put a nice twist on it.
Bring it on! Bring on the glitter. Everything has changed. Everything has changed in the last few years. Conservatives used to take it, and we're not taking it anymore.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Giggity, 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 let's have sex.